It's in a situation where college cuts sports programs, lives are destroyed, and that's the next story we're going to talk about right now, which is going to affect soccer, of course, and it's scary. So let's read this article that's from, where's this article from? This is from ADN.com, and it says, throughout the past 6 months, college athletics across the country have logged onto the video calls and watched their athletic director appear on the screen. Then they hear that the administration decided to cut their team. The explanation hardly matters because their minds spin into a whirlwind wondering what comes next. And that's what's coming down the road, ladies and gentlemen. I'm part of sports right now, for now, and we're going to be facing budget cuts as well. And it's scary to think that it all could disappear just like that because administration says, let's get rid of it now because we don't want to cut this. We'll cut them, and it's easier because we're not talking to them much. I don't know. It's scary for someone that works in athletics. I could see it all disappearing real quick. Reading on, a freshman track and field athlete cried on the bed in his dorm room. He felt angry and screamed. A baseball coach tried to explain the situation to his 2 young children before focusing his efforts on finding his players at a home. Months later, he scrolls through Instagram and struggles with mixed emotions as he sees his players in their new uniforms. Yep, that's happening. The novel coronavirus pandemic has financially strained athletic departments. Schools didn't receive their usual distribution from the NCAA after the men's basketball tournament was canceled. They have lost revenues from student fees and donations. Most conferences are playing shortened football seasons with limited or no fan base, hurting yet another revenue stream. Many smaller schools are no longer receiving the payouts from non-conferences. Matchups against Power 5 program schools have responded to these deficits by eliminating teams. Around 80 Division I programs no longer exist. 81, ladies and gentlemen. That's effectively roughly 1,500 athletes. Success and prominence don't guarantee immunity. Furman baseball had a 125-year history. East Carolina men's swimming won a conference title in February. Power 5 schools, Iowa, Stanford, and Minnesota, have discontinued programs. This is what's going on. It's happening across the country, and it's not stopping. It's not letting up because we will stay shut down forever. And the response is, let's stay shut down longer. This will solve. Poverty is going to increase. All we're doing with this shutdown, okay, we're worried about lives on the coronavirus. COVID-19, by the way, not just coronavirus. COVID-19. We're concerned about people dying that way, but we're not concerned about all the other deaths. Are through the roof. Suicide. Poverty kills more than the coronavirus ever dreamed of. It's a domino effect, but everyone's thinking about their own little bubble, especially my friends on Bainbridge Island. Bainbridge Island, it's all these rich millionaires that, for the most part, live there, and they're like, we can survive this. Shut everything down. Keep it all shut down. They shouldn't have a chance to fight. Why they hide in their $1 million houses. They should have no say. I think that's disgusting. I think the people of Bainbridge Island should shut up and stay put. Okay? Stay put in your cozy little houses while the rest of us try to figure out our lives. Okay? The middle class and the poor are being destroyed, not the rich. They're just not eating out as much or missing one of their many vacations. That's what's going on. But, they like kicking and screaming. Just suck it up. Stay in your house. I can't work. I can't pay my... They're going to get kicked out of the house. Then what? You don't hear any stories like, why aren't we testing the homeless? Or why aren't we helping them? They're growing, but we're not helping. They just talk about their little communities. Yeah, the rich are fine. They don't care about the poor. Do they really care about the poor? Do they care that people are starving in Africa? No. They don't care. They care about this election. That's all they care about. That is it. And it's sad. Anyways, reading on this sad story of destruction as an Olympic sport at a Division I college, you always have the understanding in the back of your head that if something is going to be cut, it's potentially going to be your sport, said Dan Schumann, a former East Carolina swimmer, it's living in the shadow of the guillotine. Yep. If that day comes, it recently has for hundreds of athletes that are forced to transfer to new schools or give up their sport to stay on campus. And the thing is, when they transfer to another school, because it's a chance. I can't wait to hear that story. That'll come out soon, where my program was cut. I transferred to another institution. Then their program was cut. That's going to happen. That's going to happen a lot because there's a lot of delayed reaction to this. We're all on the chopping block. Anyone part of athletics, you're all on the chopping block. It's going to be horrific as it continues, as we continue to fight. With our government keeps fighting and everyone keeps taking sides. I'm voting all Democrat. I'm voting all Republican. They are both evil until you can recognize that and understand that they are causing a problem. Now I'm first time I'm like, am I going to have to choose between the two evils? I'm like, I don't want to be in that situation, but we're getting close to that because so many people support evil. We live in the last days, I'm pretty sure. Reading on. Coaches lose their job and must move their families for the next one. This process repeats around the country, each time beginning with an emotional team meeting that leaves athletics scrambling to adjust. In the spring, Trey Asensio and Ben Wendell gave themselves a tour of the University of Kentucky. Asensio and Wendell, now beginning their junior year there, earned starting roles last season at Cincinnati, but if they want to keep playing, they had to leave after their school dropped its soccer program in April. Transferring during a pandemic means no recruiting, visits, or in-person meetings, but they were pleased with what they saw, specifically how green it was, Wendell said. Asensio and Wendell, roommates since freshman year, leased an apartment on short notice and have found it helpful to go through the adjustment process together. Cincinnati practiced in the mornings before class, but Kentucky trained in the afternoons. Kentucky plays a more aggressive style, and practice are more intense. It must be nice to be able to organize that, find new apartments, all that stuff. You know who can't? The poor. Lower middle class. I mean, this is, two student athletes that, in tough situation, but they can figure it out. But not everyone can. That's what I'm talking about. They occasionally find themselves with nothing to add when listening to stories from the past, but they continued growing closer to their new teammates. Practice began in August, and the Wildcats start their season last month. That has helped the most as they learn how their teammates play and develop relationships off the field. Every practice, Wendell said, is a reminder of why I made this decision. Communication among the now dispersed Cincinnati squad has dwindled as players adjust to their new lives, but Asensio and Wendell have stayed in touch with their two other roommates from last year, one who transferred to Albany and another stayed at Cincinnati. Asensio's team issued Cincinnati apparel in the box at his parents' house. He said he doesn't want to be the guy who hangs on to the past schools, but in the future, he'll want to look back on his time at both places. Spending the first 2 months here really put into perspective how lucky we are, Asensio said, because it could have ended for us our career. That is true. We're ending a lot of careers, a lot of opportunities, and that's what we're doing. But there's story after story, and it doesn't stop. We are in a situation of cutting. And who deserves a cut? And that's just going to fall along administration. Who's administration getting along with? Okay? Whoever administration is getting along with, whoever their golfing buddies are, whoever they hang out with will not be cut. They won't. Everyone else will be. So I advise all of you, make friends with administration, because if they're not your buddies, you can kiss your butt goodbye because they're going to cut you. So there's my thoughts on today's podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.